Another question that may be asked during an interview is implement a stock query service that can provide an interface to get stock price information like open price, close price, highest price, lowest price, and etc. So you have a stock market and you would like to get stock query service to provide you all this information. You should provide an interface. So here we have an interface that will be used to enter these data and interface to read this data. The use case, we will go through the 5 design steps or stages. The first one was the use case, the second or information gathering stage. The second one was the constraints. The third is the basic design. The fourth is the bottlenecks, and the final one is the scalability. And I don't see the bottleneck here, but I think it's available somewhere. And the final one is the scalability, right? And this one is really quick and short. Let's proceed. All right, a stock query server. Implement a stock query server that can provide interface to get stock price information, and we give example: open price, close price, highest and lowest. You should provide an interface that will be used to enter the data, to enter these data, an interface to read this data. So you have 2 types. One is two-way. One is for entering, the other one just for retrieving data. All right, the use case, there will be 2 interfaces. Yeah, I just jumped to the, it's clear from the question. There will be 2 interfaces of the system. First interface to add daily stock price information to the system. The second to read stock price information, given the date and stock ID as input. The constraints, let us suppose the system will be used by thousands of users. When you see suppose, this should ring a bell that you have to ask the interviewer how many users our system will be supporting, right? So do not assume, do not suppose. Like instead of this line, we ask the interviewer and we know that the system will be used by thousands of users, right? For each stock, there will be only 1 write operation per day. That's another question to be, how many write operation per day? Of course, just to load the information, and the information is the opening, the closing, the highest and the lowest. The opening and the closing, the opening at the beginning of the day, the closing at the end of the day, right? The highest is at the end of the day because we don't know, and the lowest also at the end of the day, right? So all the information can be done at the end of the day at once, or can be done at the opening, at the beginning, and everything else at the end of the day. However, there will be any number of read operations that can happen per stock. So the number of read operations is unlimited, any number of read operations that can happen per stock. So the application is more read heavy than write heavy, than THAN, not then, right? And let's proceed. The solution should be flexible enough so that if new data fields needed to be added to the stock, they can be easily added to the system. New data fields, so it should be flexible. You can add columns, right? This is really a challenge. All right. The solution provided should be secure. Of course, it should be really secure. In fact, all the applications should be secure. Any application, whether it's Facebook or Bitly or this one here for stock market, they all should be secure. Security is a priority, always, in any application. Insecure application is unsuccessful application. All right, basic design. We are on stage 3, basic design. We can use database like SQL to store stock data. Client can access the database using web server interface, like through a page or an address, a URL. Below diagram will show the basic architecture, just like that. In the above architecture, the user can access the database using web service. Any number of flexibility can be provided for the use. For example, what is the max price of some stock in 6 months, right? Any number of flexibility can be provided for the use. So any report can be generated in 6 months, etc. Right? What is the max price of some stock? At the same time, the user does not have access to the data they should not have. So there will be user profile and limitation and restrictions and layers, right? We can provide different access, and here's a different access of read and write, depending on the normal users or administrators. So now we have two types of users, normal users or administrators. Sometimes these are not just 2 layers, it could be 5 or 6 layers. We'll define rolling back, roll back, so you go back, if you do a change, you roll back, or backing up data for data insurance, for data security. And security features, like it should be encrypted, it should be secure, public key, and all that stuff are provided by the SQL database. The above architecture is easily extendable. Sorry about that. The above architecture is easily extendable to use with a website or some mobile app. So now we have 2 options, a website or a mobile app, right? Scalability, like expansion. Since we have thousands of users, then having a single web server and single database is not extendable. Should be enough, right? We need to distribute data among n number of databases which sit behind some load balancer. In addition, multiple n number of web servers which will sit behind some load balancer. So n number of databases and n number of web servers, right? And both have load balancers. Each of the load balancers need to be provided with some redundancy, as they will be a single point of failure. Finally, like we have 2 load balancers or something like that as redundancy. Finally, the solution will look like the below diagram. So here's the client load balancer, the backup load balancer, or the secondary, and we have web servers and we have databases. Read more than write, right? And we have the CDN for static content images, the cache, and we have the load balancer also for the databases, and we have the slave database with MySQL cache. And we are done with the design of stock query server. Again, we mentioned this, but I'm repeating it. During the interview, they are not expecting you to write a program. You just put the design. In fact, just designing takes a group of people working for a while to design. But it should be logical, like this basic design with all this analysis gives an impression that you know what you are doing and you are a promising programmer. In the next video, we'll take another example and another interview question about the basic design a basic search engine database. See you in the next video.